Welcome to the Evingston Wellness Blueprint, the podcast that takes you on a transformative journey to holistic health and well-being. Join hosts Matthew and Rebecca as they deep dive into the world of wellness, exploring a wide range of holistic modalities, alternative healing practices, and evidence-based approaches to living a vibrant and balanced life.
Loralee Pasley is a true leader in the realm of holistic wellness. She proudly holds the distinction of being the first and only female Wim Hof instructor in the state of Minnesota. Her Wim Hof fundamental classes focus on the benefits, theory, and science of cold water immersion, breathwork, and mindfulness. She is a 200 YTT yoga instructor, and in her classes, she blends ancient wisdom with modern practices, helping her students find balance, inner strength, and serenity. Her expertise extends beyond yoga, as she is also a skilled neurodynamic breathwork facilitator. Through this powerful technique, Loralee assists individuals in harnessing the incredible power of breath to tap into their true potential and true inner voice, which allows for healing on a deep level. She's also a gifted pranic healing energy healer, utilizing her intuitive abilities to channel healing prana and energy to restore harmony to the energetic systems of her clients. With a deep passion for empowering individuals to unlock their full potential, she has dedicated her life to guiding others on a transformative journey of self-discovery and healing. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you for having me, Rebecca.
Yeah. My friend Greg mentioned these cold water immersion sessions in Lake Superior year-round, and I was like, I'm in. I have to be a part of this. So tell me how you got started with this group and what interested you.
Yeah, I first learned about breathwork and cold water immersion at a Tony Robbins seminar, probably 2016. I'm from northern Minnesota. I have never liked the cold. I wasn't open to the cold plunge part yet, but the breathwork piece I was. And so I would do the breathwork. I would feel amazing releases of stress and tension. I feel my anxiety subside, have moments of great peace, happiness, clarity. It actually does change the alkalinity of your body. And I wanted to test that. So I took the acid alkaline strip before the breath work and after the breath work. And it does, it changes the alkalinity of your body. And during COVID, I had heard that the cold water plunges were really great. One of the benefits is to build immunity. And through COVID, I'm like, I am going to do anything I can to build my immunity. I'm going to try this cold water plunging. I was sitting at home like we all were. And I'm like, I feel like I need to go to the lake. So I would bring my kids with, they'd take pictures. I'd sit in the lake. They were getting bored of coming to the lake with me. So I started the group, the Duluth Cold Water Dolphin. 3 years ago, out of accountability, I did not want to go by myself for safety reasons, for support, for security, and to build a group of like-minded people and create a group of individuals that have strong morals of family ties.
Yeah. The first time I went, the people in the group were immediately dear friends. There was so much support. There was connection. I don't enjoy taking cold showers. Cold plunging by myself sounds miserable, but there's something magical about being in a group and all of a sudden the time is over and you're like, oh, this was so easy. This was great. I could do this again. And then it gives you this boost for the rest of the day. I feel so energized. It feels wonderful. I sleep great that night.
That's one of the benefits.
Yeah. So it's been a really good experience.
Yeah, I started with the cold plunges very slowly. I did notice the benefits, the immunity. I never got COVID during it. Your cells are just waking up, the mitochondria is waking up, and it really is a reset for your systems. I noticed that I wanted to go towards the water rather than away from it. And I would notice my mental health kind of going down. I'm like, I need the cold water. That is one of the pillars of the Wim Hof method, consistency and commitment. And so I noticed my practice, I was going in 3 to 4 times a week last winter. I'm like, obviously this is a part of your life now. Let's take it one step further. Let's do the Wim Hof Instructor Academy certification and let's bring this gift to others. So there's 2 online courses, then the certification in person. That can be anywhere from Spain to Poland. My particular certification was in Oregon. And so it was rigorous, extensive. There was 38 people. Only 8 of us were females.
Yeah.
The other piece that you were talking about earlier was the energy that it gives you. And it's been shown in studies that cold water plunging can produce up to a 250% release in dopamine. That's one of the reasons why you feel that euphoria and that energy. It releases oxytocin.
Bonding hormone.
Exactly. And then the serotonin and also lots of endorphins. So it's really great to release hormones, happy hormones, energy hormones, great for inflammation, for depression.
That makes sense. I remember seeing YouTube documentaries of people in Europe, and they called it wild swimming, and they would go in the ocean and they had chronic pain or depression, and talking about how dramatically that what they referred to as wild swimming changed their lives. Yeah. And actually Wim Hof lost his wife, correct?
So his story, he'd always loved the cold water, but after his wife had passed away and he had 4 children, he was under great pressure, stress. And just like me wanting to go to the cold water, he felt that he needed the cold water. And when you're in the water, the only thing that you're focusing on is the present moment. You're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about the future. I should talk about the 3 pillars of the Wim Hof method.
Yeah.
The first pillar is the breathwork piece. Okay. And the breathwork, we take on average 20,000 inhales and exhales per day. The breath is so fascinating because it is autonomic. We do it without even thinking about it. But it is something that we control as well. Breathing slowly. Taking an inhale. Taking an exhale. So the breathwork piece really allows one to tap into the internal mastery and mindfulness. This particular kind of breathwork opens up the sympathetic nervous system. That's the flight or fight response. It gets you comfortable feeling uncomfortable. Then you go into a parasympathetic state, the rest and digest state, the breath hold. So that state allows the body to calm. You can focus on your heart, focus on emotions coming up that we don't normally feel in our everyday life because we're so busy. We've got that monkey mind brain. I've got to go to this meeting. I got to make dinner for the kids. I got to do laundry. So it really helps to regulate the central nervous system. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is the cold water immersion portion. And you can do that. I really encourage people to start off in a shower. I wouldn't say to go to nature right away. You want to feel comfortable and safe and secure as much as possible. So my first ever cold water plunge was right after I had seen Wim Hof at that Tony Robbins seminar, and I was running a marathon, and I had heard about the cold water being good for endurance athletes. I will tell you, I lasted not even 2 seconds in that cold water immersion. So that was my first cold water immersion. So if you're going to start this, it doesn't have to be perfect. Even just stepping in the water for a second is a victory. The cold water immersion portion allows you to tap into mindset. You don't think about the past. You don't think about the future. You're in the present moment. It allows you to reset that body. It has helped my hip, my shoulder, my knee, my mental well-being, the immunity like we had mentioned. Also, the breathwork piece and the cold water portion are great to infuse together because it helps to build the cardiovascular system. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in the United States. This is like pumping up the cardiovascular system, vasoconstriction and opening up after you're warming up, the vasodilation. It's like pumping, like lifting weights for your cardiovascular system.
That's so cool. I love it. Yeah.
And then the third pillar is the commitment. You're going to notice the greatest benefit when you put that third pillar in, the mindfulness, commitment, consistency piece. I encourage people to start in the end of your warm shower. With 15 seconds in the cold, see how it feels. The next day, maybe amp it up to 10 seconds more. So now maybe you're doing 25 seconds or 30 seconds. And then the next day, hey, I think I can do this. I think I can do 50 seconds. And that's the way that I started. I started off in the cold showers until I felt comfortable enough to go to nature.
If somebody was interested in your dolphin group, what would you say they should have to prepare?
That's a great question. With the Cold Water Dolphins group, I will say that it is not a Wim Hof affiliated group. But to start off with the Cold Water Dolphins group, which has grown to 960 people.
Wow.
And it's like this big family. We have so much fun. So for getting started with going to nature, the first thing that I recommend is always to go with somebody, never go alone. And especially we dip a lot in Lake Superior. Pay attention to the wind and how the waves look. There is a little bit of a riptide with Lake Superior, which people are really surprised. It's a lake, but it acts as an ocean.
Yeah.
So when the waves are coming up, never go. There's always tomorrow. So some of the things that you might want are a towel or a yoga mat for standing on and getting changed. I like to bring an extra towel to dry off with afterwards. And for beginners, I would recommend wool socks, which sounds crazy, but they do work. You could use sandals or Crocs. I like to have the sandals or Crocs. If you're in nature, you don't know what you're stepping on. The rocks are uneven, so you want it to be easy on the sole of your foot. Or you could do neoprene booties. Mm-hmm. I choose the 7mm ones because they are the warmest option. So neoprene booties are a game changer. And in the winter, we usually wear hats. Mm-hmm. So hats are always optional. Gloves are always optional. You can keep your hands in the water, but a lot of us, when it's really, really, really cold, we keep our hands out.
Yeah. I find it's a lot easier to get dressed after and use the function of my hands.
You could bring a robe. I always like to wear loose clothing. So loose pants that can get on over your shoes. I just wear my bathrobe. Yeah. So that's pretty much all you need.
Yeah. Yeah. For the Wim Hof method, working with you, tell me about what that would look like.
Right now I'm offering the Wim Hof Breathwork classes, and I do those at Evolve, Duluth Yoga, and also Full Circle. It's an 1.5 hour long class that teaches you the theory and the science behind the breathing. And then we go into a really deep breath work. So about a 25-minute breathwork session. And then I've got the 4-hour Wim Hof fundamentals courses, which teach you all about the theory, the science behind the cold water immersion breathwork and the mindfulness. And then we get an experiential cold water plunge, and we do the horse stance together to warm up.
Awesome.
And I'll teach you the benefits of the horse stance.
Awesome. That is so cool. So people have the option of working with you on the Wim Hof method, and then you also do neurodynamic breath work. Tell me more about that.
So while I love the Wim Hof breath work, that's to me an everyday practice just to calm your central nervous system down. The neurodynamic breath work is a super deep dive breath work, or a breath work of radical transformation, radical self-empowerment. It really taps deep into our innate wisdom that we all have inside of us, that inner intuition that sometimes we second guess, but this really takes the second guessing out of it, and it brings up from the psyche things that you're ready to process through. So it could be healing from trauma, any type of grief. It can bring moments of clarity and peace and relaxation. So neurodynamic breath work actually is from the same lineage or the same background as holotropic breath work. And holotropic breath work was started in the 60s.
Stanislav Graf.
Yes, Stanislav Graf. And he was a researcher, doctor, scientist that was using psychedelics, and namely LSD, in his patients to help them to recover and to heal from their trauma. So when LSD became a Scheduled I substance, he was no longer able to use that in his practice. He started the breath work because the neurodynamic breath work can bring you to that state just by your breath alone. So it can bring you to an altered state of consciousness that allows for deep inner healing.
Yeah, I learned about Stanislav Grof's work and I was fascinated. It's hyperventilation, correct?
Yep, like Wim Hof says, and it applies with the neurodynamic breath work. Just bring it in anyway, bring the oxygen in and just let it go.
Yeah.
So don't second guess whether you're doing the breathing right. I give people really great instructions beforehand so they feel confident and comfortable before a session, but really just bring the air in and bring it out.
Well, I did the holotropic or neurodynamic breathwork session with you in January. It was phenomenal. I had this inflated air mattress because I wanted to be comfortable.
You were prepared.
I was prepared. So I had an air mattress, a weighted blanket. The weighted blanket was like 30 pounds in my backpack. Water bottle, pillows, rocks, and a yoga mat using Google Maps. Google Maps was telling me to go one way. And this sweet man could see I looked lost. And he rolled down the window and he's like, "You're almost there." So I get to the breathwork. I put my phone on airplane mode. There's nothing that could disturb this breathwork session. All of a sudden, my phone says, "You have arrived." You have arrived.
Yes. That was great.
Oh my gosh, I was mortified and I thought it was coming from like my jacket. Then I asked the girl right by me, "Did you hear from where that sounded like it was coming from?" She was like, I was like, "Oh."
That was so perfect though. It was totally meant to be.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, but it was funny. Yeah. It was.
Well, I thought that was perfect. In these sessions, everything that happens is totally meant to be.
Yeah.
I take that as like a message
Yeah.
from whatever you believe in. It was like, you have arrived.
You've arrived.
You are in the right place.
Yes.
Like, what a beautiful message to receive.
Yeah. So I had an incredible experience at that breathwork session. You really did a good job setting us up for what to expect. It was a really comfortable room. It felt really safe and secure. And then the breathwork started, and then the music was so beautifully paired. And there is this degree of worrying about what it sounds like when you're breathing loud or you're breathing fast, but the music is loud enough that you aren't hearing other people breathe or you're not focusing on it. Monique singing bowls were incredible. And the wave drum, she walked around between the participants and it sounded so calming and soothing. Yeah. And what a profound experience. I had 2 miscarriages before I had my 2 children, Lexi and Owen. And that was really difficult. I was working in labor and delivery at the time. And so there was babies everywhere and pregnant women everywhere. It's been through practices like neurodynamic breath work, or I had another experience with healing touch, where all of a sudden this grief comes up from inside that I had no idea I still had packed down. I had guilt being excited for Lexi and Owen because it felt like I was not honoring the babies that I had lost. So neurodynamic breathwork was a really beautiful healing experience.
For me too, in modern day, we're so busy going from this job to doing that. We haven't given ourselves the time to grieve and really process things. This type of breath work has given me the gift of being able to release, accept, really go through the grief of the death of my parent and divorce. This type of breath work allows seeing it from a different perspective than you first maybe felt it. Everybody is going through their own stuff. It's really important for me to create a safe, sacred space for people to do their work. I don't take it lightly. It's a huge responsibility, and it's a great honor to be able to assist people and help people through that.
Yeah, it was a really wonderful experience. The Peruvian stew was so good.
The Peruvian stew comes from when I started my spiritual journey in Peru. It's a lot of work, as you said. It's a lot of grief you're releasing. It's work doing the breathing and releasing all that trapped energy. And so the Peruvian stew is something that I greatly was appreciative to after my sessions in Peru. It's very special.
And then we had a bit of integration time. We had the opportunity to create a mandala based on our experience and then share what we felt comfortable sharing.
Yeah, so part of the deep inner work with the breath work, that's just the start. The really important part takes place afterwards, and that's with integration. Once again, it's important for me to create that safe space so people can allow for vulnerability and to talk about maybe some of the things that happened during their session. Also, for that individual that's sharing, to take it from left brain to right brain so they can make sense of their session. So we start with an integration sharing circle. I like to be available for my clients afterwards to make sure that they are comfortable, safe, and whatever they need to share, they can share. So journaling is another really important integration piece. Meditation, yoga, eating healthy foods. In holotropic breath work, you can't leave the breath work without creating a mandala. And in Sanskrit, mandala means wholeness or to come to completion. It allows for you to bring your session into completion and understand it from bringing it on the brain onto the canvas, creating whatever. There are no rules with it. You can write words, you can draw, you can go out of the lines, whatever comes to you. And I encourage people too that if they have their mandalas, keep them and look back at them from year to year. So after a neurodynamic breathwork session, pranic healing can be used. So with pranic healing, we use energy, prana, and we also use color too. So visualizing color. So green is cleansing, clearing. Blue would be for inflammation. My specialty with the pranic healing is psychotherapy. So if someone needs integration after a neurodynamic breathwork session, it's great for depression, for grief, any type of emotion that arises. And
is this something that could be offered virtually, in person?
I enjoy in-person sessions. I love the one-on-one connection, but it definitely is also effective virtually as well.
Awesome. Beautiful. What's the best place to reach you?
I am on Facebook, so Loralee Pasley. I have my Facebook business site, Loralee Pasley Breathwork, and also Instagram at Loralee Pasley.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I so appreciate what you're bringing to Duluth. I feel so grateful to know you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. And thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your podcast. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope today's episode inspired you on your journey of wellness. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review, subscribing, and sharing it with a friend. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a message at www.hevingsonwellness.com.